Happy New Year, guys. Welcome to 2025. And this year, hopefully, I'm going to help even more people achieve their financial freedom goals and acquire a portfolio of properties and build upon that so they can escape the rat race and end up somewhere like here in January. 20 degrees, guys, in the first week of January, and I'm back to work. So let's get it. I am literally in this video going to show you the 5 steps if you're including the revalue, the remortgage, and get straight into it of how you can profit from property in 2025. So let's get it. So I want you to remember these as you go through the year when you're trying to source and build your portfolio. I want you to remember these 4 phrases: find it, fund it, fix it, fill it. And then obviously, if you do all these correctly, you can revalue, remortgage, pull most of your money back out and do the same thing again. The more times you do this, the faster and more profitable your property portfolio will grow. And I'm pretty sure you'll be achieving about 10k a month, which I've achieved for many clients in 2024. Guys, if you want any more information, how we work with clients or how we source, what properties are best to source for yourself, you don't need to use us, click a yes in the comments below and receive our free Northern Power Property Investment Guide, the PDF version. So let's get it, guys. So first of all, you need to find it. This is the most important thing in property. In developing a really good, profitable portfolio and strategy, you really need to concentrate on sourcing correctly and finding the property. So what I do and how I grew my portfolio was utilize a lot of properties. A people business, as I always say, it's a people business, whether it's your clients, whether it's estate agents, whether it's mentoring, whether it's a relationship with builders, tenants. It's all a people business, a relationship business. So because I've been in the game for 15, 16 years, I have many relationships with off-market sources, estate agents, cash buying companies. I can offer on properties pre-auction. To be honest, I was doing this when I was first starting as well, just building relationships and proving that when I say I'm going to buy something, whether it's for me or my client, we always buy it. And sometimes I've had to buy it in myself and keep it myself, but I've never, ever not followed through on buying a property. And I've never, ever not made money. Even when I bought, where clients have dropped out, I bought it in for myself, I've always made money, guys. So I never lost on a house. So I've never even broken even. That is because we're targeting the properties in the first place. And more often than not, the properties that I target, I always know I'm targeting good properties because there's plenty of other people who want it and I have to snap it up. And you sometimes when I wait around a week, it's already gone. And so that's how I know I'm never off. When you go to find it, if you go on Rightmove and you'll see properties that have been there for 6 months and not sold, we never buy those properties. Those are not the kind of properties to buy. The kind of properties that we buy, they sell before they go on market, or if they go on market, they'll sell within a few weeks. Typically, obviously, depending on how good the market is. So find it. So Rightmove, relationships, cash buying companies, pre-auction, estate agents. Obviously, I've got massive relationships with estate agents. If I ring up, yes, the property will be on Rightmove, and I'll say, Nevin, yeah, we've got 5 people ringing up for it. And I'll say, well, here's the proof of funds. I bought a few before. Can you ask the vendor? And they're obliged legally to give the offer to the vendor. And they usually want me to buy because they know they're going to have a sale and not someone who's going to offer on it, and then in like two months after conveyancing, try and chip the price down or just say they're not buying it. And this is quite often the case, even with international buyers. Hong Kong buyers are quite well known for it, or they've got problems sending the money across, etc. So I always follow through on that. So last year we bought at least 25 properties for clients, not even including myself, and only 1 fell through in December, and that was because of the solicitors, and the cash buying company unfortunately had to buy it in themselves, and they were more than happy because it was a very good property. And the client buyer, actually, it was a trade, it was an introduction from a trade customer. And when I say trade, I mean I supply other sources properties to supply their clients. That's how cheap I get them sometimes. And he really wanted to buy it, but he didn't listen to us, and he went with he Googled solicitor firm, used them, and they were terrible, and he had funds coming from abroad, and they were just putting every excuse not to complete. And obviously the cash buying company had to service their clients and not get a bad review on Google. And the guy who was selling it was obviously in a vulnerable financial situation. He needed the cash for a divorce, so obviously he wasn't going to wait around forever, otherwise he would have put it on for the market value, and it was about 20% below market value. So in that situation, yeah, that's the only property that we fell through on last year, and we can still buy it, but we have to pay the additional stamp duty incurred by the cash buying company, and so it's just going through at the moment. But that's the only property we didn't complete on, and it was literally the solicitor's fault. So the person who's buying it, his solicitors. Guys, never get solicitors off Google if you're doing property transactions. Honestly, always use ones that have come recommended. So if you find it correctly, and when I say correctly, in the right area, below market value, no like standard construction, everything's okay, and there's solid comparables as to the price, either a quarter of a mile away or on the same street, ideally, but sometimes it's not possible. You can easily fund it. Anyone will fund a property deal that's below market value. We use our bridges. I use bridging all the time because that enables me to get onto the revaluation, remortgage, and pull the money out. But you can get private investment. You can borrow the deposit from private investors. Use that deposit for your bridge deposit, and then remortgage it. You can just use private finance in the first place. You can use a mortgage in the first place. This is really easy. All it comes down to is how good's the asset. So if I find you a property which is 100k and the comparables in the area 130k in the same condition, or 120k, it's not going to be a problem to fund it. Like, any fund is going to do it. So whereas if I find you one in North Wales where there's not been sales for 5 years on the road and it's 50k and the last sold was 52k, it's going to be a lot more difficult. We've even funded deals for people with no visible sources of income coming from abroad, clients in Dubai, Middle East, Hong Kong. We can even source properties. We could even and fund properties for them. So funding's not really the issue. It's more about the property. And people say, oh, I had a client before Christmas saying, are you sure you can get me funding? Can you get me pre-approved? Yes, but it depends on the property. They had no source of income in the UK. I can't get you approved on a 300k property when the market value is maybe 305k and you've got the rental income's like £1,000 a month. It's not going to happen. We're looking for really good yields as well. So when we source properties, when we find it, we want to make sure we're getting good rental. Consistent, solid demand is what surveyors put on a report, on the RICS report. So we need to be looking in big cities or around big cities with proven demand. But pretty much all of the UK is like that now, to be honest. So the demand is not really a problem. Renting a property is the last problem you'll ever have if you do this properly. So we've covered fund it. So we find it and then we fund it. We don't fund it first, guys. We make an assessment of your credit history and make sure that everything's in place. You've got no bankruptcies, etc. Even though we can still fund in that situation, to be honest. So we always say find it first, then fund it. Too many people try go to the high street, get a mortgage offer in principle, and then try and find a property. It doesn't work like that. You find it and then you fund it. Okay, because you're just wasting time otherwise. And how do you know what you're going to find? How do you know what you need to fund? It could be half the price that you expected. It could be tenanted, so we can't use HSBC. We have to use a buy-to-let mortgage, for example. Or you could be coming to me and wanting first-time buyer mortgage, and I'll find one that's vacant for you where you only have to put 5 or 10% deposit. So it could work like that as well. So I always say find it first and fund it. We then go on to fix it. So any property that we get in below market value, guys, is not going to be the perfect saleable condition, because if it was, why wouldn't the vendor just put it on the right move and get the 100% of the market value? Usually it's either needs work or is tenanted or there's some other issue. I try and stay away from properties that need loads and loads of work, because you're losing 6 months doing it. You're messing about with builders. It's a nightmare. All trades have gone up. You're paying like 300-400 quid a day labour. Very often you don't get your construction, or you get your construction money back and you make no profit, or you don't get your construction money back. So I'm not talking about properties that need a complete renovation, leave that to the people who want to flip, who've got an in-house build team. I do have some clients like that, and who specifically want to get a property, renovate it totally, and then sell it out to first-time buyers. But that's a different model. We do service them as well. But when I'm saying fix it from my point of view to grow a portfolio, I'm talking about quick wins, easy wins and upgrades. For example, cosmetic, carpet and paints, bathroom and kitchen. So when you're doing a remortgage, they might ask you, what have you spent? So you can go, oh, I spent 4K on the painting. You didn't. You spent probably your own time and 500 quid. Carpet, again, you can get a company in to do carpet for £1,000. You put it down as more. Remember, they're not actually, when you're increasing the value, they're not saying, okay, you spent £2,000 on carpet, the property's gone up by £2,000. You might have spent £5,000 in total on easy wins and upgrades, and the property is now worth £30,000 more. They understand that. That's the game. That's the adding value bit. But you still have to do something. So I concentrate on cosmetics, because you can make a massive difference with a paint scheme. Carpets and paints, bedrooms and kitchens. Bathrooms and kitchens. So obviously everyone knows to sell a property or to add value to property, the main thing is a kitchen and a bathroom. You can get a cheap kitchen from Howdens or Selco or B&Q, and a cheap bathroom. We use Victoria Plumbing. It makes such a difference. You spend £5,000, £2,500 kitchen, £2,500 bathroom, get some cheap labour in, and then you bang out, and you've got kind of like a new house. So kitchen and bathrooms are the main one. And guys, after this section, I'm going to put in what I'm currently doing in my latest purchase in Warrington and how I'm applying these rules, because there's a lot of people on YouTube, they just talk, they don't actually do what they say, they don't actually have the portfolio, and if they do, it's not their own, it's clients. I'm going to show you my own property and how I'm applying this. I'm going to put it in this video and obviously link to the last video when I went through the whole purchase, but obviously following this, I'll put in now where we actually are implementing this to get the maximum rents, and obviously in 6 months get a remortgage for a lot higher value. Guys, we're in Warrington and this room is vacant. We gave notice, as I said in my last video. We were getting £540 per month all inclusive when we bought this property, which is literally like 3 weeks ago. We're hoping to boost the rent up because of the demand in the area to around 900, 975, 950, that kind of range. I've been teaching Destiny, and Destiny's launching his own kind of rent-to-rent course, so I've left it all to him how to get this room ready, because that's one of the key things. And people don't want to work, but you're never going to find a property where you can add value to and asset manage, where you don't have any input yourself. You can't rely on estate agents to boost that rent for you. So guys, if you're watching this, there's no shortcut in terms of increasing the rental income and asset management. If you want to make serious money, you do have to do a bit of work. The good thing is you can set and forget. What that means is you set this all up, you take pictures, you put it online, you get someone moved in, you sign off the inventory. When they move out, it has to be the same, and you can go again. If it's not the same, then you charge. So the guy who's moved out of here, even though he didn't have a deposit, fair enough, he's painted the room. I would have done it white, but he's done it magnolia. I couldn't complain. We've saved a bit of cash there. The curtains are intact. There's a few things that need to be done, and we're doing them now. So things that I'd like to add is probably a nice lampshade there, just to make it a bit more homely. I'm really happy with the curtains at the moment. As I said, it just adds a bit of colour to the room. It's got a nice IKEA wardrobe, just needs adjusting slightly, just to make it, I think it's slightly off-centre. A little clean. It could do with an oven, built-in cooker there, just to make it a bit more like a homely flat, but we won't have time to do that. I'm going to try and rent it without. Needs a little bit of cleaning. Take that tape off. Always check the cupboards, guys. It's pretty clean. I think this will rent pretty quickly. Yeah, it's the period between Christmas and New Year. I've always been busy at this time, so hopefully we'll get it rented with minimal fuss. So we'll go to IKEA now and get this sorted, because the bed's the main thing. That's what people are, really, that's what they're paying for. It's a bed sit, so they're paying for a bed. Or where the rooms and HMOs are paying for a bed, ideally. And plus the facilities, so like the internet and stuff, which is here. Yeah, but we'll get this room, I think we'll get this room let. You know what else we could do with a mirror? I saw one in B&M, £6 full length. We'll just bang it against there for now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that's it, guys. So as I said, you do need to do some work. You can't send an estate agent round to do this. They're not going to do it. And then you're going to be stuck on the market rent. So this is not... We could have paid someone to do this and got it turned around, painted, professionally cleaned. It would have cost a day's labour. you probably would have brought his mates like 300, 400 quid. But just from a learning point of view, we're doing it ourselves today. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll show you, hopefully we'll show you afterwards, but we'll definitely show you the advert and how we present it and how it's the journey, and see if it does achieve what we think it's going to achieve. So let's get it. It already looks better, guys. Now we just need to open the mirror, get all this rubbish out and present this room nicely. I take some pictures and it's ready for the viewings. Just to add to that as well, we could have done more to this room. We could have put a built-in oven. We could have done a few bits more, but we've got a week. We've got a week to try and rent it, and if it doesn't rent in the next 1 or 2 weeks, I might redo the carpet. I might put a built-in oven, but I'm pretty sure it will be. So we've done the minimal we can, but it's really nicely presented. We're going to get the pictures on, going to get it on our portals, and hopefully it will be gone before I fly out to Marbella for New Year's Eve, which is on Tuesday. So let's see what happens. Let's get it, guys. Guys, you don't have to do everything at once either. So as you'll notice in the segment that I'll put in, I'm not doing the more expensive upgrades, adding a room, all the cosmetics, all the communal areas yet, because you can stage it and make sure the rental income covers you every step of the way, especially if you're starting out in property and you've got a smaller budget. So I've got quite a large budget, but obviously I'd rather buy a new property than spend 10, 20k on more upgrades before the remortgage, because it's only going to get potentially damaged again in a HMO or social housing property. So time this properly where you're fixing it. Remember, 6 months usually until you remortgage, so you don't have to do everything straight away if it's only going to take you 20 days to do the refurb and then you're going to tenant it, because the chances are you want it fresh and nice for the surveyor to come round. And if you do it, and you'll be surprised how much damage, or not damage, but how much it can look unfresh in 6 months, especially in a high usage HMO or social housing property. So you've done all that, and that feeds into fill it. So the better you do to fix it, the better you do to find it, the better you will be at filling it. And what I mean by that is, if you find it in a very good area, nice street, city centre, high location, high demand location, you make it at least presentable, fresh, modern, clean, nice colour scheme. This will be very easy. Now, multiple options. Obviously, the easiest option is to do a family let. I wouldn't do that. I've said in many videos prior, guys, and scroll through my videos and you'll see, don't rent to families anymore. It's 2025. In a few months, you won't be able to evict via Section 21. Section 8 is getting a lot harder because now you're allowed more rent arrears. So I wouldn't bother with families at all, okay? And the likelihood with families is they'll stay and you won't be able to increase that rent, and you might have problems, not now, maybe further down the line when they lose a job. So what I'm doing personally is I'm concentrating on my HMOs. Most of my properties are HMOs anyway, professional tenants, international students, good guarantors. They pay more than the market rent because they struggle to get other place from estate agents, and a lot of families chasing one property at the moment. So HMOs or social housing. So we give it social housing, we get more than a market rent. We get a commercial contract. If they don't pay, we get the property back under commercial terms. We don't have an AST, so those rules don't apply. The Renters Reform Act doesn't really apply. And an actual game changer is social housing HMOs, where we get paid per room. So we get really, really good rates per night, per room, under a commercial contract. We don't have to deal with families. We don't have to deal with pets. We don't have to deal with problems putting the rent up, because usually with HMOs, our professional HMOs, they don't stay 2 years, they'll stay 6 months to a year. And social housing, you can build it into the contract, the rent increases. No maintenance either, guys. So one of your major headaches on HMOs, and what I've found over the years, and last 2 or 3 years ago, I spent loads on maintenance, like it was over 50k on maintenance. And with maintenance, if you've got a portfolio, guys, everything happens at once. So it was not just one boiler. You've got 10 houses, it's not just one boiler that'll stop working in December. It'll be like 3 of them, right? Or it won't just be one leak you'll have, it'll be 3, and then you'll have nothing for ages, then you'll have again. With social housing, they cover the maintenance. All our relationships with councils and providers, we have our maintenance built into the contracts, apart from external brickwork, etc. So that is, like, for example, if a boiler goes, right? So that is a key point. So we minimise our maintenance, or get maintenance because a tenant in HMO is having a shower and is leaking downstairs. That happens all the time, guys, in my professional HMOs, even family houses. We don't get that because it's a social housing. It's in the contract that they maintain that. But if the house suddenly starts to sink, that would be our problem. But if we're finding it correctly, we'll never buy a house with subsidence. So this it's all interlinked, guys. So we fill it. We're then getting a good yield on our property. And within this 6 months' time, which it probably takes about 2 or 3 months to get to here anyway, sometimes, not always. If we're buying sometimes we buy existing properties that's already rented and you get cash flow from day one, and that's really, really advantageous for my clients who don't have a massive part and they need money from day one. But then we come down to here, we get a revalue, obviously to the market value, because remember we bought below market value. We remortgage the cash back out, it might be 20k, we might get half the deposit back. And then we go again. And that's it. And that's how you build it. You can do 2 or 3 a year of these. You can do 5 a year of these if you've got the money. You can do 2 at once, so 2 every time. And that's how you build a portfolio, guys. That's how I built a portfolio. Now, if I had every single piece of information and knowledge that I have today and all the contacts I have today, when I started out in 2009, 2010, my portfolio might be 100 houses now instead of almost 40. So when you join us, or if you choose to work with a mentor who's got a lot of experience, you're paying the mistakes I paid for. You're essentially getting for free to a degree. Some of the mistakes cost me 25 grand on not mistakes, but like maintenance or picking the wrong tenant, for example, and going through the courts. So when I say something to a client, it's usually because I've been there before, and it's their choice. Some clients don't listen, most of them do, which because I've been there before and I can predict what's going to happen if you don't give a notice to the tenant now, because they're paying now. But I know you can get 500 quid or more from social housing. A lot of clients are like, I can't be bothered. Well, yeah, but everything's fine until it's not, and then when you do need to be bothered about doing it, it's too late. So a lot of the experience I've gained, you can't really buy because it's over 15 years of experience. And now I'm buying properties even faster than I was back in the day. And now it's just a case of how many do I actually want versus how much can I maximize my portfolio, because my portfolio is still not maximized. My rental income of around 50k a month is still not maximized because I've still got properties which I do really well as single lets, but I know I could get £600-700 more on social housing. But the point is I have to stage it all because I don't want 10 notices going out at the same time. I don't want 10 sets of tenants moving out at the same time, etc., etc. Also, I use different providers. One thing I've massively learned in business is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't just buy in one area. When you're scaling up, I'm not talking about 5 or 10 houses. I'm talking about when you go above 10 houses. You don't want them all on one street. You don't want them all in one postcode. You don't want to deal with one provider because the risk is too great. For example, if you give all your properties to Serco, and I don't even deal with Serco, and you have an issue with them, or you have an issue with the management, all your properties are in jeopardy. If you borrow all from one bank when you remortgage, and all your 10 properties are with one lender, again, you don't have the same leverage as if you've got one with this lender, one with this lender, one with this lender, and you could swap and see which one's the best for you. I had a client who's got a lot of properties. He started with me I went to school with him, but he was a GP. He started with me in 2020. He said, I think he's on 25 properties now. He goes, should I just get a commercial facility from Barclays Bank and bang them all on one mortgage? And I was like, absolutely not. That's the worst thing you could do. And it's like, why? It'll be cheaper because you only have one set of fees. You only have one remortgage, etc., etc. Yes, you're going to save those little bits, but you've got all your properties with one lender. If you breach one of your terms, or if their risk appetite changes, or they don't want to withdraw from the buy-to-let market, and that's happened multiple times with multiple lenders, you're now in a very, very difficult position. Whereas if you have 3 with this lender, 5 with this lender, 7 with this lender is so much better, guys. So just bear that in mind. And it goes same with social housing providers. It's the same with the street you're buying your property on. No, not so much a city. If you're buying in a really good city, yeah, you can have 100 houses in one city, in Manchester or in and around. It's not a problem, but the exact postcode, the exact street, I wouldn't. So that's how you do it, guys. That's how you do property in 2025. Find it, fund it, fix it, fill it, flipping remortgage it, get your money back out and go again. Guys, I'm going to be posting hopefully twice a week this year. Do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Yes, if you want this guide. It's a really useful guide, guys. Yes, if you want to work with me and book in a call. Happy New Year. Here's to a happy and prosperous New Year for all my clients, all the subscribers, everyone watching this video. Let's get it.